You want to come over and give me a... we got Dad sitting right back on the couch here. You're gonna... that mic's turned on here. And we do a test for the mic.
Okay.
Test 1, 2, test 1, 2.
Test 1, 2, test 1, 2.
Yeah, let me play back, see if it works. Okay, all right, that'll work. You might want to hold the mic there. It'll be better like last time. Do me a favor, hold the mic. Yeah, then just go test 1, 2. Talk right into it. Yeah.
Test 1, 2, test 1, 2. This is a test.
All right.
1, 2.
That's better, yeah. The holds the mic. And we put that down. That'll work. All right. You about ready? Yeah.
Pretty ready, yeah. Let me comb my hair.
All right. Hey folks, this is another awesome episode of Gears, Grease, and Gasoline. Today we're over at Skratch's garage doing this awesome interview, this sit down. We met up with Skratch probably a couple months ago at one of his hot dogs and hot rods little show. Here he is, right here, Skratch. You want to hold the mic's on, First and foremost, I want to say thanks for, letting us come over and do this awesome interview. So you're a grandson of a moonshiner, huh?
Yeah, so my grandpa ran moonshine from Oklahoma to Arkansas.
Really?
Yeah, so
How long ago was that?
well, my dad was born in 1937, so it was in the late 30s. They all lived on the reservation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what, was Dad into cars or
Yeah.
pinstriping, all that?
So what I remember of all this is my dad telling me was, in his high school years, he was the guy across the street from him worked for Pontiac. So he worked at the Pontiac dealership, and my dad was getting into cars, and it was a big fad back then to be like, a teenager and being into cars, and my dad was pretty artistic. So I remember seeing an 8mm film of my dad pinstriping the front of his car, and I was like, oh man, I want to do that. Like I want, like what he's doing right there, I want to do that, And so my dad had a couple of junky like shoe boxes, and he ended up, horse trading around. He got another car, and he got a '57 Chevy that his buddy wrecked, and then he ended up with a '60 Pontiac that was a tri-power car, and they had, had a close ratio 3-speed in it and stuff like that. But he was in a local car club here in Fort Worth called the Nobles.
Okay.
And they always said, if you're in the Nobles, that's probably not your car. So it was pretty crazy, like all the little stories that he would tell me.
How'd you get into building hot rods?
And I've been building something since I was a kid. Like I've been nonstop building
What
something.
do you think? You got bit by the bug.
Yeah, just, when I was a kid, I was building bicycles. And then when I turned 16, I was like, I have to have a car, but I can't have like, what was popular when we were kids in school was like the Honda Accord or whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah, and my dad worked for General Motors, and he's like, oh, we're gonna get, he wanted me to get a Pontiac or an Oldsmobile, and I was really into Camaros for some reason. Like, I don't know what my deal was, but I ended up with like some clapped out Camaro, and then I was like, well, I need a better Camaro, so I started buying and selling parts, and then I ended up with a Rally Sport Camaro, and that was my first build. Like, I wasn't even 20. I was like in my late teen years. I was still in high school.
What do you think? Yeah, fuels all your passion.
Man, I don't know. I think that it's just like that. I start thinking about an idea and I cannot stop myself until
It's done.
Yeah, I just get so obsessed with it. Like, I'll start drawing pictures of it and looking on it on, in books. Back in the day, it was all magazines and books. So now it's all online. So I get online and I just dig and dig and dig until I have all the resources in my head. And then I'm like, okay, then I'll, go from there. But that was all like early on. But now that I have customers' cars, it's like I have to build what they're wanting.
I see a lot of your cars out back.
Yeah.
Are they kind of like on hold right now until?
So I have a bunch of cars, and so I have a car problem. Being in California for 20 years, I only had so much room and so much time to work on cars, So I'd always I'd get a car and like tuck it away somewhere and get a car and put it here. And when I moved back to Texas, I was like, oh, I have more than enough room for my cars. So I started bringing them all back to Texas. And now I'm like, I have a whole room full of engines that go to all these cars. And
You need
I got car
more
problems.
room now.
I got car problems, man. I got car problems. But we're gonna get some stuff done this winter. I have like 2 other guys, they're sheet metal guys, and we're gonna, every car needs floorboards. So these
Yeah.
2 guys are gonna help me do the floorboards in these cars, and so by spring we'll have a bunch of cars together.
Cool. You got a role on TV back in 2004. What TV show was it?
So I was on Overhaul in 2004, if that's the show you're talking about. And then later on, I got picked up on a couple other different television shows. It was the same production company. So I did Overhauling, I did Hot Rod TV, Living the Low Life, and I did this. It was supposed to be just like a pilot, but it turned into like this really. I don't even know what it's called. It's not iconic, but it's like it's a DVD that everybody knows about. That it was like the most sold DVD in Walmart, and it was called Back from the Dead, and it has Ian Russell in it, and he's building a hot rod.
Okay.
You know what
He's
I'm
from.
talking about? He lives in Hollywood, or he lives in LA.
What's his show? Metal.
Full Custom Garage.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And he started out on YouTube or something like that. No.
No, it was I'm telling you, it was that DVD, and then he did another.
Oh, really?
DVD.
Okay.
Yeah. Then he did another DVD, and then he got picked up by Mav TV.
Yeah,
that production.
remember that when
Yeah.
we lived out there in California.
Yeah. So I did that video, and like I could be anywhere in America, and somebody will come up to me and go, "Oh man, you pinstriped that bus, or you worked with Ian Russell," and I'm like, I was on Overhauling for 2 years before that.
Yeah. Yeah,
But But it was fun, man. It was a good time. It was perfect time for me to be there.
So where'd you pick up your pinstriping, and how long you been doing it for?
So when I turned about, I already had a shop, so I probably was 20 or 21 or something. And I was already pinstriping, but it was really, really bad. You know, it was bad. It was like everything looked like I was doing it with my left hand.
Oh,
So it was amazing.
I shit bad.
So, and then one day, you know, I'm pinstriping and trying to get it down, and it's like one day it just hit me. And I was like, oh, I need to do it like this. And like, it was like night and day. Like the very next day, it was like an epiphany of some sort. I got up the next day and started pinstriping, and I was like, oh, I have this now. And I just started banging out pinstripes.
So is there a certain way to pinstripe and not to pinstripe?
It was just the way that I was like holding the brush, and the way that it was like I was scared the whole entire time. And then one day it just hit me, and it just started flowing. Like the ideas and how I should do it just started like, I don't know, it just coming out of my head and onto the metal. You know?
Awesome. In 2010, you got tapped by Bell Helmets for what?
So I was doing production with Bell Helmets. I had like 4 years of production with Bell Helmets. I would do artwork for them, and they would make a helmet with the Skratch's Garage or Paint by Skratch logo on the helmet. And you know, I sold over 100,000 units of just one helmet. So I don't even know what it was with the other helmets.
So you like pinstripe it, and did they reproduce that helmet?
Yeah, they would reproduce it. I would pinstripe the helmet or paint it, send it back to them. They would give me the yay or nay on it, and then they would reproduce it. Like the way that helmets are being produced now, the artwork and the graphics is because of the way that I was painting then. It made the production of the helmet, like they had to step it up to figure out how to do the patterns. So if you see pattern work on a helmet today that is like, oh, I can't tell if it's paint or not, you're welcome. You know what I mean?
Because of you?
Yeah, it's because of the pattern work that I was putting on them.
Is there a knock? Oh no, it was the
it's
table. I'm sorry.
It's me opening up
I
a
can-
drink.
Cut that part out there.
Sorry.
So what goes through Skratch's head every time he does a build?
So I hate a time limit. I hate it. I hate it because it seems like I'm always on a time limit. And I know how long it takes to do something. I've kind of figured it out, like the first one is going to be hard, the second one's going to be easy. So if we're going to put suicide doors on your car or truck or whatever, the first one's going to be hard. The other side will be easy. It'll be nothing. It'll take, one side might take 16 hours and the other side will take 4. I know that. But when you're doing a whole car build, anything can happen, and especially the way that parts are today, it's like, I've already ordered that, I don't know where it's at, like, I don't know when, like when we're gonna get it back. So the time crunch is the worst part of building the car. It's the worst, but the best part is everybody being happy when the car's done, So I think that is like what drives me to keep doing it, is like just seeing the reactions and seeing guys like yourself like, oh man, I remember seeing that car and like now it's done or whatever, it's like the excitement that people that have been following the builds, just seeing their faces and their expressions and coming up to me and saying something about it. I think that interaction it's worth it. It makes it worth it, So I'll kill myself a couple of days in a row, not sleeping just for that,
Now, when did you start building a head scratcher?
So we did the head scratcher, I think. That was for Hot Rod TV. I think we started that in it was January 2007, and then we took it to SEMA that year, and which was in October.
What was the response at SEMA like?
Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. Like, because that car was, it was really low at that time. I lowered the heck out of it, you know. And, but there was no other cars like that out there. There was nothing, you know, with the dimple dies, and it was a Model A that was chopped up as much as it is with the Cadillac motor. There was nothing like that. And, you know, it was in 3 different major magazines, and it was at SEMA, and it was at the American Racing booth, and you know, there's a lot of like one-off parts in that car that were made from old production pieces.
Yeah, were you the sole person that built that car, or did you have help doing that car?
So I was the sole designer. I built the majority of it, but I had a group of guys that would come in, not like all at one time, but like individuals would come in. Like Jordan Graham came in and helped. This guy, the captain, he was a metal fabricator that was on Overhaul, and he's a great metal guy. My friend Ben Bright was on the show. He came down and helped. If you remember Hot Rod Havoc, that DVD series, Ari from there.
I don't think I've seen it. I'll look it up. They online somewhere?
Probably, yeah. But I had a bunch of good like metal fab guys come in and help me, you know, at not all at one time, but just, hey, I'm gonna come down for a week. Even like my friend Richard Baggett, he lives here in Fort Worth, but he's actually a famous like blacksmith now, and he builds knives and jewelry and stuff. And so I don't know. It's kind of cool. It's a lot of history behind that thing.
We're talking about your passion for pinstriping, hot rods, and all that. Do you think your passion has grown or stayed the same?
Oh man, it's I don't know, man. I think that now that I'm older, I'm just a little bit more selective about what I'm going to be doing. You know, I don't want to waste my time and talent on cars that are not going to be anything. You know, I don't want to work on like a 4-door shoebox or, you know, stuff like that. Like, I'm not going to chop a Volvo. Like, there's, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to waste my time and effort on stuff that doesn't matter. I want to work on better cars, you know. I don't want to do a square body truck or any of that stuff. Any of that fad stuff. I want to do like cars that'll like get the attention and will be the attention.
Attention getters. What do you think all your creative, flowing passion, came from?
Oh man, I don't know. I think that it's just
Like, can you draw like, Kindig, or can you draw like, some of these guys that they draw that car and then they build that actual car. I mean, I can't draw.
I mean, I drew that.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So I've been drawing since I was about 4.
Okay,
That's
cool.
So when I was on the set of Overhauling, Chip was like, look, what you should really do is take a couple of rendering courses at Art Center in Pasadena. And if you know that college, it's a high-end college. It's for automotive design. So I took a couple of courses there. So I had my full-time job. I was working on set, so I was building a car in 8 days. I was going to Art Center and doing 60 renderings a week. And I was, still doing all these things, and so Chip was my tutor.
Okay.
So when I was doing my renderings,
Yeah.
he was helping me do the rendering at school for school. He was like, "Oh, here, do it like this." If you just whip that line, you don't have to connect it because your mind will fill in the line. Stuff like that. So I've been drawing cars and car parts and stuff like that for years, 30-something years, but taking those courses, those rendering courses, and figuring out where you need to put it and how to make it proportional to like, oh, this is the product or whatever. It's more like product placement on the paper, you know, so you can identify it better, you know.
Is there a certain build that you would say, hey, that's one of Skratch's builds? Or has a build not came yet?
Well, I mean, what do you mean? I mean, like the head scratcher, everybody knows the head.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like everybody
Well,
knows the
there
head
you
scratcher,
go.
you know. But my old truck, I used to have a '59 Ford pickup that everybody knew of that truck. You know, after that truck, I got rid of all. I mean, like I hadn't driven a real old car in years, except for I had a '70 Chevy pickup that I drove for about 5 years in California. It was called the Orange Truck. But you know, the cars that we've been putting out here lately, pretty decent. You know, I don't know. I built a '58. God, what was that thing? It's a '58 Dodge for Tom Ingram a couple of years ago, and it went to Viva Las Vegas. It was white, blue, and silver with like silver fades all over it, silver and blue fades all over it, and it had Chrysler headlights and Chrysler bumpers, and I extended the fins on it. It's called Two Fins. It's a crazy custom car. I built that thing. I don't know. We just did that blue Buzzard car. That was just a base coat car,
Yeah.
just for the Invasion, the car show down here in Dallas.
Yeah, I think we're here at one of your hot rods and hot dogs gatherings in me and Terry, and you'd said the name of the paint on the head scratcher. What's the name of the paint? Or the paint scheme, or?
Well, the paint scheme on the head scratcher, I mean, it's a fade, but I call it skunk stripe. I call it a skunk stripe. But I didn't come up with that. So there's a painter in California, his name is Radio Bob. I hadn't seen him in like 3 years. He walks up to me at the Grand Nationals. This guy is super hyper. He's great painter, He's an awesome guy. When I moved to California, he was my mentor, and by the time I left California, he said that I was his mentor. But when I saw him, he was like, "Oh my God, you did the skunk stripe, you did the Winfield, and then you did a skunk stripe? You're insane!" He's just yelling at me. He was so funny. But the car, when I painted it, it's actually metallic black with citrus green, gold, and silver fades across the whole thing, and it's just a buildup of of the color from one side to the other and back again, you know. So
Did that take time getting that paint scheme right? Or?
I painted it all day, But I will tell you a little secret about the paint. The first day I painted it, it's black. It's bitching, right? So the frame is going to be silver, so I'm doing my silver fade from the bottom of the car on both sides. I do a silver fade down the middle so I can just start seeing where it's going to evolve to. Silver, I have my hose guy, he's holding the hose, he's walking around the car while we're painting. I go and change cups and I put the gold in there, so now I'm doing the gold buildup. And I have the radio on, the fans on. I'm in the moment, and I'm spraying that gold and I can see it fading in, because it's not a pure cup of gold. It's a half a cup of gold, and then you have another base in there, so it's not so dark, so it's not opaque, and so you can do the blend into it. And I pull on that hose, thinking that my hose guy was not helping me or whatever. I pull on that hose, And when that happens, it yanks the hose out of my hand. The gun falls on the floor, and it splashes the whole driver's side of the car in gold. So I'm done for the day.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
I was like, where is my hose guy? I'm going to beat his ass right now. And I walk around. He's on the other side of the shop talking to some tow truck driver about trailers. I was like, all of y'all, get out of my shop
Did
right
he,
now.
was that his last day of working for you?
No, I gave Matt another chance, but
Oh,
he was very embarrassed. I was like,
So, so by age 20, you had your own shop, right?
yeah.
Where was that at?
So my first shop was in Pantego, Texas, which is just a small city inside of Arlington. So we talked about super shops earlier today.
Yeah.
So it was right down the street from the super
Okay.
shops. Okay. So it was great. It was just me. You probably know Jason over there at Cobb's Crash. He's the barber.
Over at
Cobb's
Speed
Barber
Tech?
Shop. No, Cobb's Barber Shop. Do you know that place?
no, I don't think so.
Okay, well, they're in like Hearst or whatever.
Okay.
Anyways, so we were in this car club. We ended up starting a car club later on called the Lucky 13s. But it was like basically me and two other guys. We shared that shop, but it was my shop. They just had their cars in there also, you know what I mean? And, but I was at, the term or the name Skratch came from that shop because I was like, yeah, Skratch's Garage because we're building cars from scratch. You know,
Can I ask you that too? Where'd the name of Skratch come from?
well, I mean, I was 20. You know, I was like super into rockabilly. You know, I'd like put a half a can of Murray's in my hair nearly every day. You know, and I was just like, yeah, Skratch, built from scratch. And I had a 59 Chevy, and then I had that 55 Oldsmobile, and my buddy had a shoebox. So we were just like, we just were so rockabilly and cool at the time, you know. So I don't know, it was just it was funny.
So it just like your family call you Skratch too?
Yeah,
or-
everybody pretty
Everybody?
much, everybody pretty much calls me Skratch. So when I worked at General Motors in Arlington, my dad's nickname was GTO because he had one of the very first GTOs ever built. And everybody kept wanting to call me Little GTO, and it's like, no, just call me Skratch. You know, just built from scratch. He's like, they're like, oh, you're the guy with the old car out in the parking lot. I'm like, yeah, that's me, man. And so they just all started calling me Skratch. So everybody at General Motors has a nickname.
On the topic of SEMA, how do you like it and how often do you go?
Man, SEMA is so different from what it used to be. Now it's
Kind of expanded over the street now.
yeah, it's like a carnival
like
now.
huge.
Yeah, it's a carnival. You know, when we first started going there, it was, you know, it's not a car show. It's not supposed to be a car show. It's supposed to be, these are the products we're making. You know what I mean? And now it is a car show. Like it's a thing. You know, I went in 2019. I went there with Mobile One. I was there. It was Mobile One and Bell Helmets. I was painting helmets for them, and just kind of hanging out in the booth. You know, I do.
You're there in 2019. We're there in 2019 too.
Yeah.
Walking around.
Yeah, it was 2019. I think was one of the better shows. You know, one of the best events, and we did that, and you know, it was a good experience. Mobile Ones, they had a great setup. You know, and Carrie Hart was over there and stuff like that. It was cool. It was a good time.
Are you currently working on any builds you need to tell us about?
The build that I'm working on right now, it's a 58 Cadillac that's basically the way that I look at a car now is I want to do a custom car, but I want to do it, I want it to look like something that they would have done from the factory. but I'm not trying to do a modern flair on it either. You know, I'm not building a custom car. Like, it's a 58 Cadillac. I'm not going to put an LS motor in it. It's just not going to happen.
Keep it original, or
Well, it'll be the 390, but it'll have the 390.
updated.
It'll be the 390, but it'll have better engine components in it. You know, like better pistons and balance the bottom end. We'll put an overdrive transmission on it, an aluminum radiator, all that stuff. You know, so we can drive it as a modern vehicle. But there's nothing wrong with that motor. It's a 300,000 mile motor. So why change it? You know what I mean? But that car that we're doing right now, it's gonna, I changed the wheel wells, I changed the bumpers, and it has airbags on it now. So it'll be like a super low, like, and we want to do like a Watson style, like paint on it, you know, in turquoise and whites.
You can tell us, or the people out there on, you know, the podcast and people on YouTube. Thanks for watching, guys. Tell us something about, you know, hot rods or hot dogs. I mess up every time.
Hot dogs and hot rods. So
Hot dogs and hot rods.
So I have this event. It's every third Friday during the spring and summer. It's hot dogs and hot rods. It's free to whoever comes over. It's we're sponsored by Deep Ellum Brewery, which is a local brewery. They supply us with beers and a good time. And then I'll cook hot dogs and hand out hot dogs and beers.
I hear it, and nobody shows up. You're gonna eat all the hot dogs.
I do that anyways.
Oh.
I do that anyways. So this month in October, if whoever's watching this now, in October we're going to have a Halloween contest.
Okay, cool.
It's called
cool.
the Halloweiner.
Okay.
The Halloweiner. So it's 10/20/23. So it's Halloween contest. It's sponsored by Deep Ellum.
23. All right.
Yeah, so it's in 2 weeks. And Lincoln Welder sponsoring us.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we have a big gift thing to give away for whoever wins the contest. We have a Suffolk City Tattoo is going to be giving away a tattoo, and Hostess is going to be giving us, you know, stuff to eat. So I don't know. And Summit sent us a bunch of gift bags. So
what's a day like at Skratch's garage?
So what my normal day is I come in here, I make a list, I figure out what all I'm going to do. I normally order parts, I answer emails, I go to lunch, and I come back, and I just work until about 8 o'clock at night. So I work normally from like 12 to 8.
I think last night I was in the studio until like 9. My office is it's not like working, and then I walk out and Dad's it's time to go to bed. He's making his coffee, having his little cookie, and then going to bed.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm still up. I gotta wind down before I can go to sleep.
Yeah. So I mean, same thing with me. I'm up until like 12 or something, and the worst thing for me to do is to come in here, sit down, and think about something that's out in the shop, and then I'll go back out there to turn off the compressor or something, and then I'm here until 12 because I'm like, oh, you know what I should have done?
Yep.
So I try to like make myself leave at like 8 o'clock.
Well, like even at home to, you know, shit everything down, then I'll forget something in the office, and I'll walk back in to get it, and I'll say, well, you know, just one more page, and I'll turn the computer back on, and then I'm in there until...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, you're obsessed.
So, who have you worked alongside on builds, and is there somebody out there that you really clicked with, or you really click with?
The overhaul and build that we did, so we were on the second season, and there's a group of guys that we're considered the A team or whatever. So it's a group of guys, and it's like Ben Bright, my friend Andreas, the captain, and this girl Sherry, and it's funny that we would include Chris Jacobs because he's not a fabricator, but he was, those group of guys were all, we'll be friends forever. Just from, we know how each other works, and we can get right through that build because we know what needs to be done and how to get it done. So anytime I ever have a hiccup on something, I'll call one of those guys and be like, so what do you think I should do about this? And they're like, oh, that's easy, just do this. I'm like, oh, damn it, all that time, Or, Chip is pretty personable. If he's not busy, he'll call me right back and be like, oh yeah, just do it like this. And then it's nothing, just get it done, But I've worked with Charlie Hutton on the show. Me and him get along great. He's a super smart guy.
He was Boyd Coddington's paint guy or something.
Yeah,
was he on American Hot Rod?
Yeah, he worked for Boyd's. A lot of those guys worked for Boyd's, and then they moved over to Chip's. Chip worked for Boyd also.
Yep. Yeah, I think because in some of the builds by Chip, I see that resemblance. I'm like, shit, that's like a Boyd build right there. You can see, Boyd taught him.
Chip was the main fabricator and builder over there.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was doing all those renderings or whatever, so.
I remember, I think it was 2019, I was able to talk to Jill Coddington for a bit, and she said she was going to be at SEMA,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, we're coming to SEMA too. I want to tell you something about Boyd. And she's like, all right. And so I came, and well, if you don't know, Boyd's the one that got me into photography
Oh, that's awesome.
back in 1994. And so I told her the entire story, and she had like even little tears coming out of her eyes. And I'm like, your husband, inspired me. And he told me right before I walked out that day, and I'll remember until the day I die, took his index finger, pointed in my chest. He's like, hey kid, keep shooting.
Yeah.
You never know where it might lead.
Yeah.
And I kept shooting.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Where can people go to find out about you, your builds, and the little Halloween car show thing with the hot dogs?
Hot dogs and hot rods.
Yeah.
So,
I'm gonna have nightmares about that now.
Good. Yeah, that's what Halloween's for. So it's Skratch's Garage everywhere. Like if you just Google it or whatever, Instagram or Facebook. But Skratch is spelled with a K. It's SKRATCH. So
Okay.
yeah,
Right.
that's the difference. You can look me up everywhere, and I'm just on Instagram building cars or posting stuff. So
What do you, 2 words real quick, I don't want to stump you, but what do you love about Texas? 2 words.
that I love about Texas,
Yeah.
chips and salsa. Is that 2
And
words?
there you go.
Is it
There
2
you go.
words? Dr. Pepper, like I don't know.
That's it.
Bar B Q, like that's not 2 words, but I don't know. No, you know what? I'm from East Fort Worth, so it's like I had the opportunity to move to California to work for the Von Dutch Company,
Okay.
and so I moved there. I worked for them for about 3 or 4 months, and then I ended up working for a couple, just freelancing and pinstriping, and.
Now, did you do pinstriping for them? Or, yeah.
Yeah, so I was a pinstriper. They hired me to be the pinstriper in the store. Like people would come in there and bring helmets or motorcycle tanks or whatever, and I would pinstripe. So I was there on site to pinstripe all day long. But it was a weird. It's Hollywood, you know what I mean? Like, it's not Texas. When someone in Texas tells you that you're gonna have the opportunity to do something, they really mean it. In Hollywood, they're just talking. You know what I mean? So, but I quit. I totally quit my job and rented my house out. And I'd worked for Granger for 5 years, and I just like walked in there, basically just quit my job and left. I took my '59 Pontiac and my paint box and moved to California. So if there's anybody out there that wants to,
Once you moved, did you at least miss it here every year?
oh yeah, I missed it every day, you know. But it's just like, when you have an opportunity, it's hard to come back later and say, do I still have that opportunity?
I had something that, you know, the Peterson Museum out there, they took and they emailed me and they wanted me to come out there and cover an event
Yeah.
for the magazine. And I told them I can't, I'm only a Texas magazine. And, you know, some people I tell that to, they're all like, you are so stupid. You had some, you could have went out there to the Peterson. I didn't think of that. I could have went out there under E&P, you know, photography, but I didn't think about that.
I'm sure you could still go out there, but magazines aren't as popular now. That's why we have YouTube, and we can.
Well, you started a podcast and,
yeah,
you know, all that stuff, so.
yeah. So this is more fun, anyways. You know, probably less stress.
And, you know, the first episode that we put up of this podcast, we got picked up by Spotify.com.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I look on the back side of the platform, there's people from Japan downloading, people from Saudi Arabia. I even heard there's somebody in Saudi Arabia that, I don't know if it's true or not, but they gold-plated their C10 truck.
Probably. Probably.
Hey.
So I went to the Saudi Arabia event in 2019 in November. It was the world's largest car show. It was so large that they had 2 Ferrari race cars racing like every 3 hours. The factory race team racing 2 cars racing each other every 3 hours or whatever, every 4 hours. And like, that's how big that car show was. It was insane. It was like and every car guy, like for real car person that was in America, they were over there. Everybody, like anybody that you could ever think of that's a car person, they were there. It was like, it was.
Is that like a once a year thing, or?
I think that they were going to try to do it as a once a year event, but you know, then 2020 fell out. So but it was insane.
Right on.
Yeah, it was such a good time.
Well, do you want to tell us something else? You know, since we're still recording on this, or
So I talk a lot. So
yeah, that's I do too. Just ask. Dad's sitting back in the peanut gallery back there. I'm waving to Dad back there.
so yeah, I mean, like, man, I don't know. I talk a lot. How long do we have? Because I can just tell you whatever.
Well, normally I do 45 minutes. I can do like another, 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So,
I'm done asking you.
oh, okay.
everything.
Yeah, because I talk a lot. That's why.
Oh,
Just
okay.
like this damn list here.
And before I leave, or since we're still rolling, I'll have you do it now. So I get proof that you did it.
I'll sign
I get
it.
proof that you did it. You can autograph that, and I'm gonna frame that for
What?
my office.
So, what car do you have? What kind of? Don't you have a truck or something? What are you into?
I have a 1990 Chevy Suburban, and I'm looking for, you know,
Oh, that's
some
just-
little shops to help us get it back on the road, you know, fixed up.
That's a square body truck.
Square body, 1990 Suburban.
Yeah.
Is gonna carry all the gear, all the camera stuff, everything. Was it? No, where is it? That one?
No, I got a Sharpie.
That'll work. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So, have you seen that Slicky's Garage, that new restaurant?
No, no.
It's on the other side of town or whatever, but they have a picture of Jesse Combs standing there
Okay.
as soon as you walk in there. And I was talking to one of the managers one day or whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, I saw that Jesse Combs picture up there. And they're like, yeah, you know, she was great. She's a hero, all this stuff. And I go, yeah, that helmet she's holding right there, I painted that. She's like,
Where was this picture taken at?
that was at, so it was called the OG show. It was like the, I can't, Outline Gold or something like that. I can't remember but it was in
We're
Belgium.
talking about this picture here. He's with Jesse right here. So,
Yeah, so this was at just a normal like motorcycle event or whatever, and she'd come up and start talking to me or whatever. This is before she was on television or whatever, but it wasn't until she would started doing like land speed stuff that she became
now,
fast.
here did you go up to her, or did she see you and come up to you and want a photo?
Yeah, she came up to me. Because I've known her for years and years.
Okay.
Yeah, so you know, Jessie Combs has always kind of been like,
Then
she was like our sister.
overhauling too, huh?
Yeah, you know, she was always like our little sister or whatever. She'd always come around or hang out or, you know, see what's going on. And then like I think like 2010 or 11 or something like that, we had like a serious conversation about like she wanted to do more in her life or like get more publication. I was like, you got to get a manager, and you got to start being more serious. You know, like you got to get a manager, and I'm not trying to be that person, but you're good looking. You know, you have a personality. You have the talent. Follow it. You know, like if you want to race, go race. You should be doing that. Or if you want to go weld, go be a fabricator. If you want to be a mechanic, be a mechanic. Do that or whatever. But she's like, no, I just want to race. I was like, well, that's what you should be doing then. Stop messing around. You know, so that was it. Like, and then it was like a couple of, maybe not even a year later, she started getting picked up by all these other companies, and I started seeing her everywhere, and she was off to the races, you would say. She was doing Baja, and she was doing a lot of bike stuff.
I would see her on overhauling for a bit, and then I would see when she would go out to the salt flats and all that and race. And
yeah, she got picked up on overhaul, and it was good. She was a host on there, so it was, and I say this about nearly everyone. If I can help you succeed, you should. Like, but I can't do it for you. I can point you in the right direction. This is what I know about being successful, or what you should be doing about being successful. All those young builders that I've told a million times, get rid of your girlfriend, quit your job, get a shop, and get a DBA, and that will make you have to be successful, because you're gonna fail if you don't.
Yeah.
It's worked out for a lot of guys. One of the guys, he just remodeled the Peterson, multi-millionaire. I taught him how to weld in my shop.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, And, you know, I didn't make him that successful, but I did instill it in him to, like, if you're going to be passionate, do it. You know, don't jack around. Don't half-hearted
Well,
do it.
The guy that gave me the idea about doing like the podcast, he's, you know, on YouTube and all that. And pretty much he said, get off your ass and go do it. He's, you know, everybody keeps on saying, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. And he's, then tomorrow comes and you don't do it. He's, don't worry about, you know, getting paid for it. Don't worry about a listener. Don't worry about how it sounds. Just do it and put it up. He's all, you'll get better every time you do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these YouTube videos and lives, I never liked talking in front of the camera and doing it. And I told Dad one day, no, I can't do this. And Dad told me, you know what? Just do it for your business. Do it for your magazine. If not for you, just talk about your company.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that for 5 years now.
Yeah. So, yeah, you'll get used to that. That camera's nothing, you know, like if that camera wasn't here, we'd be still sitting here talking about cars and bullshit,
Yeah.
you know, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, you know, like it doesn't, we're just telling people what else we're doing, that's all, you know, and if they could reply back, they would, you know, so, and thank God because of the YouTube situation, these guys can like comment back, you know, oh, hey, whatever happened to this, or
And like, you know, share the video and
yeah, share all the videos and give us the likes and all that. I mean, I don't even watch normal television anymore. I just watch YouTube.
one day, Dad watches YouTube. We have YouTube TV. He's back there laughing. Every time I come out of the volume turned up, and I come out there and the volume's playing around on YouTube. So some people don't have good audio on their thing, so you gotta turn it up. But he's on YouTube, you know, on the big TV, watching, you know, something, you know, on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, that's mainly what I watch. I will always watch. Do you ever watch that Richard Holder guy? He builds motors all the time. He'll like go and get an LS motor, and this LS motor is garbage. We'll put heads on it and change the cam out. It produces this much horsepower. Let's put a turbo on it.
That's all he does.
Like it's so because he works at West Tech or something. The West Tech Performance is where they have the dyno that David Freiberger uses or whatever, and so he's done all kinds of different motors. So it's not just LS stuff or small block Chevy stuff. You know, I started watching it because he did a whole series on the 500 cubic inch Cadillac and how much power that thing produces just with the small swaps on it. It is insane. Like 100 horsepower increments nearly every time they would change something on it. Craziness. I'm like, what? No, that can't be real. And they're just pulling it on the dyno, you know, even with smog heads. They're like, this motor is a beast, you know, and they detuned it that much just to be in a luxury car.
Yeah, did you ever think you'd be on TV?
Oh, man, I don't know. I've always had that personality, you know, like in school, I was always the class clown because I hated school, so I was constantly talking. So it wasn't
in school a lot.
Yeah, it wasn't that much of a, you know, being, I don't know how to say it or whatever. I think when I moved to California, my intention was to be like famous or whatever. Like I wanted to, I wanted to be in all those magazines. Like because I'd had all these magazines from my dad from like 1963 to 1972. And it just so happens, so like, I was born in 1972, and and my sister's, well, that's when he got his GTO, was in 63, so it was like 10 years, 11 years of like buying car magazines, and then he was like, by the time that I was born, he was like, I guess I'm done with cars now, I got 3 kids, you know, but I had all those magazines from all those from those years, and it's always kind of the same person in those magazines all the time. And I was like, man, I want to be that guy. I want to be in that magazine. I want to be, you know, a known guy. So when I moved to California, I was like, I want to work at the right shops. I want to work on the right cars. And it was just a perfect, I think it was all just perfect timing for me at the time. And I never stopped talking, obviously. So I can pinstripe and talk the whole entire time.
Oh, I'd screw a car up.
So I would go to the show, and I could pinstripe a car in about 30 minutes, and the whole entire time I'd be talking. And then I got to the point where I could do 2 cars at one time. I would be palleting one car, striping it, and then going to the other car and finishing that one up. So if I could get the cars like kind of close to each other, I could knock out about 2 or 3 cars at one time.
Take some talent there.
So, I mean, you find out that there's like this 20-something-year-old kid doing stuff like that, that you're going to get some notoriety, you know, and, you know, and that was all just hard work, you know, like I wanted to get to the point where I could do that and, you know, be the expert of that, you know, especially at that time, there wasn't a lot of people out there doing it.
Right on. In closing, do you want to say anything in closing before we wrap up here?
Man, you know, I just appreciate you coming out, and we've been trying to get together to do this for a while. It seems like, so if y'all can see.
Did you get new couches?
Yeah, I got new couches.
That TV wasn't there.
No,
when
no.
me and Terry came.
Yeah, so I'm putting this little living room area together the people on YouTube can see. So I have a lounge area. To your left, I have a bar. Behind the camera is my actual office or whatever. But I wanted my office setup to not be so, you know, hey, it's garage, you know, like
Yeah, I don't mean
like,
any disrespect, but are you painting inside?
oh god, yeah. So we have
Who's
you know,
that
spackle, we have spackle everywhere or whatever. So we're still painting. So, but we're gonna repaint the office area, and then you know, this is all like mid-century modern stuff.
I think that's near the
Yeah.
trim, right?
Yeah, we framed that
'Cause
all out. Yeah.
You got just cut this out or something
Yeah.
right before we came.
Yeah,
So,
we cut that out,
okay.
I think in February or March or something like that, and there was a door over there or whatever. So I've always wanted to have like a little living room area in my shop, so we can sit down and do stuff like this. So we can have little powwows. I can have, you know, customers come over, I can do a drawing of their car or whatever. We can have drinks and bullshit. It's not so like, oh man, you know, uptight or whatever, and I'm at a desk and
Yeah,
you're at the other side of the desk.
a little
and that
more
kind of stuff.
relaxed feel to it.
Yeah, you know, we have, you know, I don't know, I just want it to be more of a living space, and then I can come in here and turn on the TV and watch some YouTubes, you know.
I haven't seen a VHS player for a while.
Yeah, so that, my friend brought that over, and they brought over all these VHS tapes, and they're all from like the 80s and 90s of all the drag races from Orange
okay.
County and stuff like that. But what's stuck in there right now, of course, is American Graffiti.
Boom! Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
My favorite movie.
Everybody's favorite
Real
movie.
quick, I'll end on this.
Oh wait, I'm gonna have to extend, but
Go ahead.
So if y'all have ever watched the movie Hollywood Nights, I'd love to talk about this. Is that if you've seen the movie, at the end of the movie where they're walking around the 40 Ford with the 6.2s, the chopped and channeled 40 Ford, and Tony Nancy's like, oh, who did the tune on this? And they're like, oh, Fiasco. So it's Fiasco Dino Tune, which is, he was in the Valley, he was in like North Hollywood. His name is Richard Johnson. He was my mentor. He had a shop around the corner from me. I lived next door to David Freiberger, and Richard Johnson lived around the corner from us in Burbank, right there, in, you know, right off Magnolia or whatever. And so Richard Johnson comes over to my shop one day. I had a shop in Sun Valley, and he walks in, and he's coolest guy. He's got grease in his hair still. He's got they call it fenders with a flat top, you know. So both sides of his hair is slicked back, and he's got a flat top. He's driving a '57 Chevy with dual Webers headers that he built, and it's a 235 that's stroked out, so it's a 261 or whatever it is, and 4-speed car. Pulls up, comes into my shop, and he's walking around, and he's like, "Where'd you get this lift?" And I go, "Oh, I got it from Daryl Young." And he's like, he just gets so mad, and he's like, "How much was it?" I was like, "It was $400. She goes, "He never paid me for it." And I was like, "What?" I go, "Man, I wasn't even alive when that shit happened. Like, I don't even know." And but I have the lift from Fiasco Dino Tune.
That's cool.
Yeah, so Richard Johnson was also the R&D guy at B&M Hydro.
Okay.
So he was putting B&M Hydros in cars on that lift that's in my shop. Boom.
That's awesome. And then, everybody on this one now, that is awesome. So every car that was raised up from him, he worked on that lift. Do you want to sell that lift?
No, no.
I can afford
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I also have. So I was really good friends with like Stan Goldstein, who's the Spirit of America race team manager. So that's Craig Breedlove, the Spirit of America race team. I have the original bead roller from their first car that they built. It's sitting in my shop. It's sitting on the table. It's clamped to the table, and the two, we just built that car, the Blue Buzzard. The two younger guys were in here one day, and they're like, "Oh, can we use this real quick?" I'm like, "Sure." So they're like rolling out some aluminum, like messing around with it. I was like, "Do you know where that came from?" And they're like, "No." And I tell them, they're like, "I cannot believe you let me use this thing," you know. And they're all like freaking out. I was like, "Yeah, man, you're welcome." Like, it's cool, you know. You got to keep that stuff alive because it just goes away. Like, you know, ex-wives just throw that shit in the trash.
You can tell us, you know, again, the date of the car show.
So the date of the event at my shop is 10/20/23. So it's 2000.
And that's open to anybody to.
Yeah, anybody who wants to come by, so bring your car. It's hot dogs and hot rods. It's a costume contest, so we have prizes from Lincoln and Summit, and we have a tattoo gift certificate and stuff like that going on right now. So and it'll be it's sponsored by Deep Ellum Brewery, and we'll have free hot dogs and free beer all night long. Well, not all night, but 7 to 10. Oh,
7 to.
the Go-Go Gorillas will be playing. The band, the Go-Go Gorillas. So
What do they say?
it's like surf music.
Oh, okay,
They're
okay.
rad. They're so good.
Kind of like Beach Boys, kind of flair.
More like Link Ray.
Who's that?
Oh man, It's more like
I'm sorry.
the more like it's surf music. It's like guitar.
Okay,
It's like
okay.
guitars. But these guys dress up as gorillas in suits. Like they'll be wearing like a
That'd be
suit.
a YouTube thing.
Yeah. You can look up. You can see it. The Go-Go Gorillas. But so.
Can I
it's-
bring the 4K?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's great. It's a good time. It's like 3 guitarists. They have gorilla heads on and hats. They'll be wearing like shorts and like it's hilarious. It's a good time.
Awesome. Thank you, folks. If you're still out there listening, this has been another awesome interview right here on Gears, Grease, and Gasoline. We want to thank Skratch for letting Dad and I come over and sit down and kind of rock his brain for a bit. But we're on YouTube right here, Skratch right here. Dad's over in the peanut gallery back there. He's laughing at me. He's like, if you had a hook, you'd probably throw it around my neck. And, you know. Anyways, if you're out there listening, go check out Busted Knuckle Rod and Truck Magazine.com. We're digital now. We're not print no more. And check out, the new swag over there. I believe swag too.
You know what? I know that I do. I just don't know how to move all that stuff around on the internet.
Okay.
So normally I just kind of sell it here at the shop or whatever. But I'll get it up and running again on the internet, selling that again. I'm so busy doing other stuff in the shop.
Building cars. And,
Yeah.
So we want to thank you again for letting us come over and, just, talk cars and, hot dogs and,
Yeah.
all that. And plus, I got his autograph right here. So that's going in a frame up on my wall. So anyways, thank you for listening. Thank you guys for watching. And this concludes another awesome interview.
Right on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let me stop that. Dad's over here falling asleep.
It's that couch.